Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight? Mon Mothma. Guess who's coming to dinner tonight? All you wanna do is have a good time. All you wanna do is have a good time. Oh, heaven, let me to space, heaven. Heaven, let me to space, heaven. All you wanna do is have a good time. Get some friends over and have a glass of wine. Oh, heaven, climb. Oh, you're getting shut down. The Cassian's around. Climb. Oh, it's winning lessons in prison. Cajun say Clyde, Mimic say Clyde, Kino, he say Clyde. Cajun say Clyde, Mimic say Clyde, Bix, don't say Clyde. Cajun say Clyde, Mimic say Clyde, Kino, he say Clyde. Cajun say Clyde, Mimic say Clyde, Bix, don't say Clyde. What's that I spied my little eye? Andor, Cassian Andor, talking about Andor, Cassian Andor. He's a rebel spy, super bad friend. Give you a hug at the very end. Make that man feel like 100. He's the rogue one for me. Get you answer. He's not in the show. Is he a fish or a thief? He's Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor. Hey everyone, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. How are you, Rob?
I'm good.
All right. You stayed up late last night with us watching the old Andor show, and we're going to get to that review. And at 1 o'clock, I can share my opinion, my social media impressions of Willow. And I will do that 3 tweets. I don't know. I'm allowed to talk about 3 episodes, and so I'm assuming that means 3 tweets. So I'll have 3 tweets at 1 o'clock, and then you'll know how I feel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, so like the video, please. And right here's a link to the Spotify Anchor thing. I put it in the chat here, and you could use that to subscribe to the show on whatever platform you want, or you could get the RSS link from that link and put that in whatever podcatcher you use if you use some other podcast app or whatever. So yeah, but basically we stayed up late last night. Rob was up last night, but he wasn't on the show because he said, I don't want anybody getting in the way of my opinions. So what'd you think of that?
By anybody, I mean James. No.
Oh, James. Yeah, let's get that.
Just for the record, James says he thinks David Hasselhoff could easily replace Stellan Skarsgård in the role of Luthen. So,
well, he's not wrong. There's nothing that David Hasselhoff can't do.
Well, yeah, pay his taxes maybe. So what do I think of the episode? I like it. Breaks my heart. It's breaking my heart. The first off, your spoilish info yesterday was spot on.
Right?
In case anybody needs a little show confirmation. So But like any other bit of news you get ahead of time, seeing it actually play out, it's a whole nother thing, right?
Yep.
So
That's why spoilers
I
are
only have
okay.
one. I only have one gripe, and then I'm gonna gush about the episode. Though my only gripe is the two fishing aliens. It was a
Yeah.
little hard to understand that dude, and subtitles would have helped. You know what I mean?
I
And
had
I was
subtitles
listening with
on and it
headphones on.
yeah, I had subtitles
Yeah.
on for the episode, and that's the only reason why it was coherent to me.
Yeah, but when we get to two tubes and he's got subtitles, it's
Mhm.
easy, no problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that would be
Um
my only thing.
my sister Baymax was in the chat last night and actually knew what dialect that was. Not it's not a
Nice.
Star Wars thing. It's like fucking what, Bespin Bolton speaking over in Wells or some shit. I don't remember what it was, but he knew what it was. And so yeah. There's a lot of the characters and stuff, like you could tell that the region in which they filmed those things is kind of influencing some of that stuff in these episodes. But
Which is fine. I just
mhm,
think for an alien though, it's like where like time was kind of the essence, and they're both already in like a net. You know what I mean? I think they're both beat up physically. They're not in the best mind space to also be like I get maybe Andor, he's been around, right? So he might understand some weird dialects. But Melchi, I don't
Melchi.
know if Melchi's
Melchi.
so on the hip about that sort of thing. But that would be it. That's a super minor. But that's just Star Wars in general. I just think the aliens sound better when they're speaking alien languages and stuff.
So they say it's Cornish. Baymax and Nick are saying it's Cornish. It's just down the street in South Space. Kidding.
But they could have been speaking Huttese and I would have been fine with it. But whatever.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, super super good. And that BMO's breaking my heart, bro. Breaking my heart.
So yeah, so we start off with the episode with the dead body of Minerva being dragged out, not dragged out, but
Not true.
being prepped to be removed from her home. She didn't die in a rebellious act. She didn't suicide bomb the capital saying Allah Admiral Akbar or anything like that. She just fucking straight up fucking just died. But I think she's a little bit more clever than that. And if you watched yesterday's spoiler review, there will be something, but we won't be talking about that stuff in the main part of this episode for sure. Okay. So if you've seen the
Right.
episode and you don't want to know anything about the next episode, if we do go into that stuff, we'll go into it at the end. If we even do, I don't know if we will. I don't know if we'll need to. But so we start off with our boys with dead body, and we got our dudes hanging on the side of a cliff, which you know, I'm not somebody with I don't think with high anxiety who's like, oh my god, but fuck, I hated that. That was like, I was like, come on, can we just get past this? I don't like this. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you
To be
the
fair,
first
they didn't like it much either, Jason.
right. First time you see it, at least if you watch it in the middle of the night, like we did last night, you might miss that their fingernails and toenails are bleeding and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not cool. And
Yeah.
it's not fun. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I like that the escape wasn't just, well, we made it, now here we are. It wasn't so easy, but also they didn't make it into a big deal that took 45 minutes, which would
Yeah,
have been
luck does play a factor, and I don't mind luck. It's when characters always get out with luck, always get by on unless that's their mutant power, right? Like Domino. But yeah.
you know what, so then the boys see the ship from episode 7 that Ray and Finn go for that gets blown up, and then they
Oh.
instead go for the quad jumper, and the guys catch them in a fishing net, which I really liked because the whole time we have the Empire treating our boys as commodities. They ask Bix, are you a fish or a thief? Either way, you're not
Yeah.
a person. You're not a human. You're either a fish or a thief. And to them, and they get caught in a fishing net. I mean, that can't have been on accident. Fishing net for this, and that's made out of some disgusting looking goop of some
Taro
kind.
root. Looks like taro root, like a like a
Uh-huh.
spring roll. Like a big
Okay.
old spring roll. Yeah.
Oh shit, that sounds kind of good right now. So maybe a big old bowl of pho. I bet
Yeah.
pho tastes good in Star
Yeah. Some
Wars.
peanut sauce and shit.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit of peanut sauce.
Yeah.
I like to put a little sriracha in the peanut sauce too sometimes to make it a little spicy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So anyways,
We just lost 5 people. They went out to go eat.
they were like, "Oh, it's lunchtime."
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so then we move on and we kind of get Dedra really making her first mistake in the whole series, her first miscalculation. Because obviously letting these people amass in this situation is not going to be good. And but she's like basically telling them, we want a funeral, limit the amount of people who could go to it, which is her taking precautions to not be completely stupid about it though. She wasn't like, let everybody
Sure.
come to the funeral. Let's cater it. She wasn't saying that. She was like, let's because we want to bring Andor out. So we just need it to be comfortable enough. Excuse me. That it seems okay.
Wheel out the
So
canapes. You know,
but
like, all
we
right.
got we got we got the return of Rick's Road. They want to close that shit. You can't close Rick's Road. What are you doing? You know what that's gonna do?
Roads where we're going. We don't need Rick's
Rick's
roads.
Bix on Rick's. So anyways, yeah, then we end up going back to the old to fishermen, and a lot of people were struggling with this for the same reason that what you mentioned about the dialect versus subtitles and all of that stuff, because he's sort of just it's speaking a little bit dopey with a weird accent to us. If you're an American, it's confusing, and we didn't know what they were saying for the most part. I knew because of the subtitles. And so if you watch that scene again, but basically those guys are fishermen. The prison has polluted the water. When they realize that they're from the prison, at first they seem a little pissed at them. Then they realize that the fishermen realize that they're the prisoners and it's the Empire. And they're like, oh, the Empire kills people. Empire doesn't care. The Empire doesn't care who they kill. And then they're like, oh, you're basically being hurt by them too. Okay, where do you want to go? And then he's like, Neamos. And then they're like, okay. And he's like, are you fucking
Yeah, I like the
serious?
party.
Cool.
I like the
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
You imagine
Yeah.
that junky ship showing up and
I know, right?
that posh place, like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
I suspect they dropped them off outside of Nemo's, and they were like, "You're gonna have to walk in." But
yeah.
like, we're gonna set off a red flag. We come. The hillbilly fishermen show up.
We have the implication of time having passed on two fronts because we have him breaking into the house, which we don't see him breaking into his old house to get his stuff. And then later on, when we see Melchi, he has like some cool tourist clothes on. And
Right.
I don't maybe Cassian. I don't. I'm guessing Cassian's personal items are gone except for the safety box that he had up top. So they had to have stolen clothes. There was a whole thing that we just don't see on screen, which is great. I don't need to see that stuff. But yeah, the fishermen, they help, and then that was their contribution to galactic history. That guy will stop the Death Star someday. Good work, fishermen. You did your part. Every little act of kindness counts. And then we go over to Clea and Vel. And by the way, really quickly, there's been, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong for their opinion on pacing or anything like that. If it felt slow to you, it felt slow to you. So much is going on in these episodes that's going on very calmly and in a hushed tone that I think people get the impression that it's slow, but fuck, there's a lot of content in this episode that, and it actually, if it was plotting, it would be tedious, but it does okay. It's just that we have
Yeah.
all of these little character moments that can't be left behind in this episode.
Yeah.
I think.
To give some context, like I started watching House of Dragon like last week, and I'm about halfway through it, and I'm like, hey, look, this is cool.
Yeah.
But it's like if you just took one geopolitical part of Game of Thrones and latched onto it versus telling like 4 or 5 the way that show did, right?
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
If this is doing like 4, 5, 6, 7 things, it's just doing it in such a competent way. I think people are taking it completely for granted that, oh, it's simple. I got no. They made you so you do understand it. That's the miracle, because like in far less capable hands, it's not gonna work. Like,
I want
you know.
Allison Hightower and Bix to have a show together for personal reasons. Anyways,
If that's the show, it's called Personal Reasons.
it's called Personal Reasons.
Personal Reasons.
What happens when one princess and a space princess are sucked into a time warp? All right. Anyways,
You said sucked.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, but Clea and Vel, sort of weird. A couple of things I could glean from it, which is just sort of strange that I don't know if there's something to pull out of this or not. But if you notice, Vel is like wanting to see Luthen, and she says, "I'll make sure." Clea says, "I'll make sure he knows you told me," and then she's pleased. It's like they're vying for his approval.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a little bit strange, because in this episode, as it goes on, we start to see that our rebel friends have a lot of what was brought up by Luthen in the previous episode, that sort of ego and pride are at play still for these people. They're
Jason,
proud with egos.
You've never ran a harem of rebellion mercenary fighter women. I mean, perhaps now you'll appreciate Pete Davidson's plight in life. You know, maybe
I can't talk about that.
Yeah, well, Luthen does. You know, I'll make sure they get the word. You know, I'll make sure.
I'd like to see Pete Davidson try and do that with this penis instead of that giant one he apparently has. So anyways, yeah, so the Clea and Vel conversation, I think, could be setting up things for season 2 that may be important later, about where these characters end up and why. And I also don't know if people really notice, but Clea gives her version of his speech. I can't quote it, but I could paraphrase it, and it's basically like, "Oh, you did Aldani? Bitch, I'm doing Aldani every day." That was kind of like what she was saying about it. And we have Vale wanting credit for Aldani, and we also pretty soon have Andor accepting credit for Aldani to Mom, even though she's dead. And so it's like he tries to later on, which we'll get to, but people are like, it's like, here we are now.
Cut back to that scene in Aldani when they're like, "Are you there? Or are we doing it?" And she's like, "Are you there? Are we doing it?" And then once it goes through, man, I was there doing it. I don't know.
What do you think the odds are when you have what was it? Claiborne? What was the other movie by him? By
Michael Clayton.
Michael Clayton, Dolores Claiborne. I think Aldani Brasco was the original name of the show, and they were like, "No, you can't do it." He likes those like names. He likes those.
You really worked that Donnie. Brad,
I did.
Aldani.
I did it. I made it happen.
You worked that one backwards. That's how Love and Thunder was. I get it. I like it. I mean,
so and then we cut over to Bix being interrogated about Krieger, and she doesn't really say anything, but it's like she's so fucked up that it seems like they are accepting that as like fingering the guy. Yeah, I said fingering the guy. They are kind of accepting that, but why is that important? You know why that's important? Because Luthen will fucking kill you. If that guy takes the fall for it, and then later on they believe that he is Access, and they believe that Bix is the one who said so, that allows Bix to live. Otherwise, Bix has to die. Bix, it would become a plot point, a loose thread that it would not make any sense to let Bix live.
That's the new anthology series that they're putting together, Jason. It's called Star Wars Loose Threads.
Loose threads.
Things that have been left over. We're gonna get it all out in one or two seasons, so everyone shuts up.
Yeah. So, all right. So anyway, so also another important moment, because when that stuff goes down later on, it's like I said, this makes everything start to sit okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about Mon Mothma's daughter and your interpretation of it, because we have Mothma's daughter is chanting about being tied and tethered. It's in the knot is the binding, in the knot in the binding, and all that shit.
When I was a
So
kid, I was in high school. I had this girlfriend, and her family was one of them homeschooling Amway Republican families, you know. That finally they
okay,
were like, they had a bunch of daughters, and they all had to finally go to school because they couldn't manage it, right? And
right.
fine, but what would happen is they were all fairly liberal at school, but then once a year they'd go to this Bible camp, Jason, and they all come back
Yeah.
like this. And
Vacation
you'd have to
Bible
re-up their brain.
school.
And I couldn't go anywhere, so I was the only one who never went. And I was like, oh, I lost all my friends again for like about a month, you know,
Yeah.
about a month. Then they'd snap out of it just in time for homecoming, and I'll get back on with life. But yeah,
Just
yeah,
in time to
that's what it
not
was
be
like.
fun at after the dance.
Yeah,
Genius.
pretty much, pretty much. Still bitter about it, you know, but whatever. So yeah, well, look, I'll let you finish up, and then I'll give my take on this. Like, if you have anything
Yeah.
else to add.
And by the way, I don't have like a fucking like hard fast take on it. I don't think there's like a right answer based off of the evidence. I've looked at it like twice now, but I'm brought it brings my mind to, like wedding rings. I guess we wear wedding rings because back in the day they used to like tie your finger together with a piece of string during like a wedding
I don't,
ceremony.
Jason. I don't.
They do it in the
I
Robin
mean,
Hood Prince of Thieves movie. Now you
yeah,
know.
yeah. That's
Um,
why I showed her that movie, and she was like, "Oh, fuck that."
oh, she's like, "Fuck, I want to get
Stupid.
married to Kevin Costner, Mom."
Huh?
The old ways.
Hey, look,
Um,
Dave, me first, but you know.
so anyway, so yeah, so my take on it though is in the knot, in the binding stuff is basically talking about getting married and how in being married is the way, and I guess having children really young. I don't know how old Mon Mothma's supposed to be. So, but I assume she gets married at 16. She becomes a senator around 16. So I'm gonna guess she didn't wait until she was 33 to start having kids, right? And so it to me sounds like it could be a little bit about making more babies, which is making more chandrillans, which is propping up a power structure that's clearly based. It's clearly like a class-based structure because she's at the top of it. And I think that it's also a form of control, and I think that it would be approved by the Imperials. Therefore, they're pushing those old ways on Coruscant because it is compliant with the imperial aims or whatever. And what was your take, Rob?
Well, okay, so one, I just want to say, throughout the entire series, anytime her daughter and her are having a visual moment, not like a direct dialogue moment, it's left very ambiguous on purpose, I think. Like, so we were saying in this episode, the only I had this belief that, you know, she's basically doing this because she knows it drives her mom nuts. Like, and I'm not saying that she
Right.
doesn't care for it, but my confirmation of that was just one, I've seen this before, right?
Mhm.
Like I see, got a little experience with this. So, two, yeah, there is that scene where she looks and she sees her mom is clearly in distress. Like, and had she had a smirk, then yeah, but then that would become Machiavellian. You know what I mean? So it's more complex. I think she completely buys into it, but you buy into something because that gives you power, right?
Mhm.
Like it's that rebellious part. And I was saying, like, this show is about various forms of rebellion, big and small. This is her daughter's rebellion, and it's not so great. I mean, it's another like, hey, you know, you're defying your parents at the expense of, you know what I mean, your own future. And so it's
Yeah.
not that it's this particular traditional thing. I mean, her buddy Tay is in a traditional Chandrilan baking atmosphere, right? It's
Mhm.
that she's her daughter is living the future that she had hoped she wouldn't. I can imagine maybe there's a version of this where, you know, she becomes a senator to get away from that and raise her family away from the planet, and she can't escape that, right? And it's the same way that you can't escape the empire. Some things you can't escape. She's in an apartment that is decked in Chandrilan like traditional ornament stuff, like Tay was talking about. Look, it's really you kept this really old school, huh? And she's like, well, you know, we have to, you know, we represent the planet, so the apartment has to look like the yeah, 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 yeah. But you know, it's a form of like also like when you were saying how like maybe they're being like indoctrinated or encouraged to or something. I just think it's a form of like when you're away from something, you can get that whole like, oh, the other place is better, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other place is better than this, and when she's surrounded by like the best version of this, right? Look at how great this is. I mean, I like my dad. What's wrong with marrying a guy like my dad? It's my mom that has the problem with it. I don't have a problem with it, and everything is great, but she doesn't know the reality of the world. She has a very, very closed off, interpretive, like defiant view of that. So.
With your reading of it, I think her in the earlier episodes, her mother, she's like basically like, why do you care? Like, you're not around. You're just doing your other thing for other people, not me. And
Yeah,
so
real Chandrilla
when
mom
she
would be around.
well, and probably, yeah, that's probably what she
Yeah.
thinks. And when she's doing that, mom is staring at her crying, but mom is still staring at her. She still
Right.
has
She's not
mom
making any changes
concerned
too.
and
Yeah.
looking at her. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there is still that is still a part of it. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they end up where they end up taking this, like, in the big picture.
It's minimal, but like it's one of those things I can imagine very easily 80% of the audience not caring or picking up on any of it. But this is one of those things where I'm like, it's a very human experience. And if you've had this experience, you're getting way more out of it. And
Yeah.
that's really what I'm looking for in anything I watch. Whether it's Transformers, right, some crazy robots, whether it's Indiana Jones, whether it's freaking Snorks, like I just want a
Mhm.
little bit of a human experience. Makes it more, it's a difference between a Zack Snyder Batman fight and Robert Pattinson calmly walking through police officers in a murder scene, right? And everyone's
Yeah.
staring at him, like that's the difference. So, and I think this is one of those silence speaks volumes kind of bit,
Right.
right? Yeah.
My big critique of the episode is just that people are having bad calls in this episode. And it's like they haven't had bad calls on the phone, like communications disruptions this whole time. No Theo Bibble moments the whole time, and in this one there's like two. And I just thought that was like a little bit like, well, it was on your brain and you couldn't drop it, so you kept adding it as a reason to make scenes interesting or less pedestrian.
Or it's
But
it's a visual thematic. It's a theme being played out visually in that signals are being screwed up, right? Or being
mhm,
miscommunicated. And
yeah,
you could see that in this thing. Her daughter adhering to this thing that's going to not make her life ultimately better.
mhm,
We're just going to run with that, right? Like if we take Mon Mothma as an honest person, we haven't seen her, do anything dishonestly, that it's really
mhm,
not good for her. And so this signal is crossed. This signal is mixed.
yeah, yeah,
It's distorted. It's just a yeah. I'm always like interested in that sort of thing, and that's the downside. That the only place I think we'll get that is maybe if we're lucky enough for Jeff Goldsmith to ask Gilroy that sort of shit, like,
yeah.
but we just don't have enough of these kind of interviews. You know what I mean? To get
My dream, which probably won't happen, but my dream is that Tony Gilroy adds commentary tracks to these on Disney Plus. It probably won't happen, but I would love if
well,
that did
Jeff
happen.
also does a print magazine. And in the
Mhm.
magazine, or it's available on like iPad shit too. Finally, it
Hold,
took
hold
what
on.
8 years.
Print is dead. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go
well,
on.
it's on. I know it's on. There's a digital version, but in
Uh, I
there
just,
he'll
I just like,
put
I just
way
like
more
Egon.
extended. He'll put way more extended interviews.
Okay.
So like he did a whole thing with Quentin Tarantino on the show, but it was like 40 minutes. But the interview in the magazine is super long. So I'm hoping that when this is done, that's where we'll get, you know, because when it's in print, and it's going to be in a niche market, they're more open than I think, and here's the official studio commentary. And then they're like, oh, I mean, like those audio commentary, Jason, we're like, oh, remember that person? Oh, they're great to work with on set. Oh, they were just a play. Oh, they're so good. Look at them. And you're like, this fucking shit. That's not what we want, Jason.
You ever afraid that maybe when you're sleeping, Cassian sneaking into your room, walking around selling shit that you left there?
He's the one giving me the heart palpitations, Jason. It's Cassie.
It's old
Gonna be the
Cassian
death of me.
Andor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I thought for sure he was gonna wake those people up. And like when his like phone opens up, it's like Tyranny Report or something comes on. I was like, what is that? Is that like his fucking radio show he listens to, or is it like an Imperial thing where they're like, here's
It's
bad stuff
Twatter.
going on?
No, it's called Twatter.
Twatter.
Yeah, it's called Twatter. Twatter. Yeah.
It's Porger. Porger. It would be called Porger. Right?
Rian's writing that down right now. That's good
Porger.
stuff. Really
yeah, he's
stuff.
like, you know what? He's all, Twitter's going down. Porger. Let's do it. So then we Luthen lands at the partisan base. He walks and he has a giant pepper shaker in his hand, and people keep thinking that it's his lightsaber. It's the fucking cane that he's had the whole series, the whole time. Stop with that. Stop with the lightsaber stuff, you guys. There's no lightsabers in the show.
Look, I know, but someone was like, we got to kind of give him something because, fans are going to complain. I'm fine with it,
I mean, he has the cane for the hemorrhoids. That's why he's like, that's why he's always pissed off. It's okay. This show's realistic.
Probably shouldn't sit with a plug on his seat, though. Hey, I want to also point out that the way this set was shot, right? Like just the layout of it, right? Very good. Very good. Like they're utilizing the aspect ratio and the way they're like separating the actors by the division line. It's very, very good. It's very well edited, very well staged. This is the sort of thing that I'm like, I'm fine with, like in a Kenobi or a Boba Fett where it's just some people in a room talking, as this show is proving. But you gotta like stage it like this is the difference, This is the difference.
Well, also shout out to the fact that they didn't shoot it exactly the same way that they did in the previous episode.
Yeah,
it was the same location. Yeah. It was the same location, but they shot it from different angles, so it felt fresh. It didn't just didn't feel like, hey, we got this set up. We'll just do it all right now, and then here you go. Just live with it. Don't remember, okay? This show knows you're going to remember, and it takes care of you. I appreciated it. Yeah, seeing that place from a different different vantage points and stuff. And
the lighting was great. The X-wings were appropriately dirty. You know what I mean? Like it just had the right level. Like I would have killed for those black X-wings if they were around in the 80s. I'm reminded of around like 86 or so. GoBot's got like the recolors. They would like reissue and recolor. And Psyche had like a black version with like green little highlights, and I was like, "That's the one I want." Right? Like, because I'm a nerd,
without going too far down a rabbit hole on that one, I had the whole scoop on Rogue One about the black X-wing that was crashed in Jeddah in the city, and I'm like writing about it and stuff, and it's a big set piece, and then it's not until you watch the movie a few times that you realize, oh, those are the partisan X-wings. When you see the movie, it doesn't really make sense that there's a partisan X-wing crashed in the middle of Jeddah at that moment.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Ejected. flat spin like Top Gun. His goose died.
No, it's more like that what was that guy that tore that Ferrari in half? Remember that Gizmodo like executive or something?
Oh. But anyways, yeah, there was definitely something more to that in the original version of Rogue One. There was more of a reason that was like that, I think, than just one of Saw Gerrera's ships crashed for no reason that seems irrelevant to everything else. I was wondering what that is, and I don't actually know. But anyways, Luthen's lines continue to be fucking so good. When he's like just talking, the way he bargains with Saw's like lines back, like they're all so in character, spot on point. Like no one, when I say like one character isn't sucking the life out of the scene, both characters completely vibrantly exist in what they are. They don't, and it's just like it's so natural and so good. And the way that like Luthen burns him and stuff is just so fucking solid. Like I just like loved
it's Tubes. That's my man.
It's Tubes. Like, he's my man on the inside. Yeah, I mean, it's such a son of a bitch.
You know what this is like?
He's the son of a bitch. Is like when so good.
This is like when Bestman and I get into an argument and I go, it's Nick. Nick's my boy. He's my man. And Nick goes, no,
like, no, not this mustache.
But Nick talks with his mustache like the Pringles can. Remember the Pringles can?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Nick's like, what's a Pringles?
Do you guys have
They have
Pringles?
it
I
over
hope
there.
you do. I hope you do.
They do in
I
Germany.
want, but yeah, good lines, good scene. Moroff was out there in the background, which I appreciated. Just knowing that Moroff is out there. Moroff's that big hairy white dog guy, like the big Yeti
Oh
guy.
yeah,
He's also in
yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars story. Solo helps bust him out of the mines. He's one of the. He was
He's
with the
also at the top
Wookiees.
of Matterhorn Mountain, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I've been on that.
Same dude.
But yeah. But I mean, they have like basically Saw's like, you're willing to burn him. You're willing to burn Krieger. And then he's like, oh, but and then like I love that moment when he's like he can't hurt me. He's like I can. And then that's when it's like, oh, so once again, we got that pride and power at play here about I can hurt you.
Also, to be fair, there's a version of this where you could trim the midsection of this and go right to think about if I was ISB, I could just let you go and have them kill you, right? There's a version of that, but I really, because everyone's firing on all cylinders and this is a TV show, you let this scene play out, like
Yeah.
it's working. Yeah.
Well, and then there was that homage to me and Kathleen Kennedy where he's like, you have people everywhere, all your sources, and I was like, yeah, I've had that call from them before, just like that. I mean, and Two Tubes is in the background. Your sources ain't that good.
Jason's like, and if you hire me for security, you wouldn't have to worry about all that. Like,
I mean, that's where we go. They're like,
okay, you chose this, not me. You chose.
Yeah. But when he tells him, like when he finally puts the gun to his throat or to his head or whatever, and says, "They'll trust nothing, just like you right now." Like that was so well reasoned, and like even Saw Gerrera's so passionate, he's dumb sometimes. Like Saw Gerrera's there's an old saying, it's like when you could be right, everybody could still not like you, so it doesn't matter.
Jason,
And
are you telling me I don't understand what this is like?
Oh, believe me, I have that in my head all the time. Just because you're right doesn't mean people will like you. And
yeah, no.
but that's like Saw Gerrera's problem, even because Saw Gerrera still has to work with other people to make this rebellion happen. And but
so want him
anyway.
to come back as a ghost and be Ghost Saw. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, opinion.
The one Jedi ghost who wanders the earth.
So I wanted your opinion on this right here. Cyril's safe. Did Cyril get a safe because his mom goes through his shit, or was that the shit his mom was that the box that his mom was going through?
Oh, that's his mom's stuff. Oh, is that his private box or his mom's stuff? That's a good question.
I think that's his safe.
Yeah. It's because it's the only reason why you'd ever bring up my private box. It's the only reason. If that line wasn't in there, I took it as he's stealing mom's money when she leaves the house. Which either way, it plays well too because there's something stunted about him anyway. Growth wise, he's living at home with mom, stealing mom's $5. I got accused of stealing money once. I didn't even do it. My mom sent me with $20 to go get a pack of cigarettes from the Circle K, right?
Yeah,
91.
I remember.
This is still not that long.
I did that too.
I went on my way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went on my way, right? And I dropped it. I don't know. Like I legitimately, when I got there, I'm like, what the hell?
Lost the money.
And I've never.
You're a kid.
And I had to tell her I lost so much. She did not believe me.
Really?
Yeah, got in all sorts of trouble. I didn't do nothing. But yeah, I think that's his private box.
Yeah.
He's where he's stashing the money.
Well,
he could be helping out with rent.
But it's actually like a safe now. I was curious if he stepped up to privacy with like a safe from a box. Like if before it was like a cigar box, and his mom could just open it and go through it. And now he has like a lock box. I don't know. I hope somebody at some point ask him because I'm curious what it means. It's nothing, but it's just one of those little subtle things. And I'm like, huh.
He doesn't want her to know he has money and valuables, because she'll just take it. That's what you're part of the family. You're living here. You got to pay your way. And it's just him hiding stuff from mom. Although I was hoping, the nerd in me, that they had some like rare Star Wars TCG cards from 1996, right? Like in like the foil, like the special wrappers are sealed. Like
Obi-Wan
he's
Kenobi
keeping his
with
special cards.
telescoping lightsaber.
Well, he's probably got like a Chancellor Valorum, right? He likes that old school shit, right? He's got a young Senator Palpatine in there, That's where the Vizier cameo would be. It's a Vizier card and shit. But yeah, whatever.
So we got Clea and Luthen's double speak scene after this, where they are speaking in code. And you could literally follow the conversation through the code if you are really following along. I'm curious as to how many fans think they're
This
just
is how
talking
you
about
make dumb people
antiques.
seem smart, Jason. Sorry, I don't mean to cut
Mm-hmm.
you, run into your words. But this
No,
is how
no,
you
it's
like. There's always those cats who are like, I mean, I'm smart. I get it. I didn't know what they were saying. Oh shit, you did.
yeah.
Wow, look at you, man. Look at you, Ethan Hunt. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I once again though appreciated them keeping, like, you could like you start to feel like this is all coming to a head as we get to the end of the season. There's about to be like this insurrection on Ferrix, and you just see all of this stuff coming, and you start to feel like, well, that's when you stop protecting yourself. But these people, the narrative doesn't do that. They're in this for life. They have to live beyond, at least they hope to, and
And it's also subliminally or subtextually, it's placing everything locked because we're seeing different time frames, and you don't know. Throughout the last few episodes, we don't know how things are moving concurrently with one another. You know what I mean? 3 months here, 6 months there. What's here? Because every conversation is basically ending with, and his mom died. So everyone's going to the mom's funeral, right? It's syncing everything up time wise, so you know where everyone's at, and then where everyone's heading to. It's coy because they're having these longer conversations that didn't reveal that, but that isn't the point of the conversation. And a
Mhm.
more amateurishly written, to adjective the shit out of my examples, in a more amateur script, it would just have been about the collector's mother came to cancel the order because she died, but like it would have just been that and
She
Kurosawa
died.
like yeah. Yeah. She likes she died in the woods. Die in the woods. But yeah. Whatever.
Oh, and I
She's
lost
a
my
brick
note on
house. Right.
this
She does that one.
house. On we also had a few scenes with Cintas looking fine, low on supplies, serving in a bar with clearly an agent stalking her. Did you think that
Yeah,
was the
so
case?
do you
I did.
well that's the question. Do you think that agent knows who she is or he's there also keeping tabs? And I think he doesn't realize who she is. I
Well,
think he
in
was
the
just
previous
thinks she was
episode,
hot.
he sees her watching.
Oh, that's right. No, you got me. Yeah, no, he
And then
knows.
and
No,
then
you're
in
right.
this
You're right.
episode he's there. So maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he has his suspicions that she's, I don't think they know that somebody's there to watch Cassie and Andor. He may
I
even
don't think
for Cassie and Andor, he may even think that she's another agent doing his job too. He may think he's competing with her for all we know. There's a lot of possible places you could take that. But something's there.
yeah,
I
just
think
based on his
somebody's gonna get found
interaction
out. Yeah.
based on his interaction with her, whatever he thinks of her, his focus clearly is looking for Andor at Merva's place. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever may or may not be in the back of his head. That's not that's not like I'm writing that one and we're gonna look into her too. It's just could be a hunch.
Do you think so Andor, when he sneaks into the house, he gets the manifesto, correct?
Yeah.
And he gets the manifesto. So now he has that. He's clearly going back to Ferrix. He's the bait. The bait's there. Whether I don't know if it's bait, but his incentive to go home is there. So we know he's going back to Ferrix. From the trailers, we know he's going back to Ferrix. So he's going to bring that manifesto with him. That may play into how we get where we're going. But he calls old Zanwin Freight again. his little alien friend wasn't there. I was hoping his little alien friend might pick up the phone and be like, "It's for you," but he didn't. But okay, that's fine. And but Andor's like, "I did it. It's me. No names. I did Aldani. Tell her." All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like,
No
"Sorry,
names, but
man.
I did Aldani. Yeah, real clever.
Man, when somebody's mom dies, do you go, your mom's dead? Like, do you do it like that? I was wondering about that when I was watching it. Or do you go like, I got bad news. She's not here anymore. She's bad. Like, I felt like he was very, very blunt. But anyways, um,
Yeah, but this dude's got Andor's like a fugitive. You got to get right to
yeah,
the point.
right to the point. Yeah. Yeah. But he gets the fucking message out. And there's the death. It happens. And so now he knows his mom's dead. He knows he can never go home again now.
Yeah,
Essentially, like that moment when he leaves and he's like, "I'll be back." And early on, she's like, "I know," all that kind of stuff. That's him. That's him believing psychologically he can return, but he can't. He's not going to. He's never gets to. And but I think the next episode is likely to give him some sort of like solace in the terms of that he will probably attend the funeral. He probably will get caught in some way or about to be caught. And Cintas will probably, I don't think Cintas is going to be able to kill him. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
well, we know he
But
lives. So.
I don't mean
Yeah.
that. I mean, I don't think Cintas is going to be able to make the call to kill him. Like she's
I
there
see.
to kill him. I think she's going to see all of this stuff go down. I think she's going to play, her positioning is going to be what saves him. Maybe this isn't a spoiler. I don't know. I don't know if it works that way in this, but it's like I would kind of almost assume that she's going to be there. She's going to see all of the stuff go down, the funeral and stuff, and she's gonna be like, "I'm not killing this guy at his mom's funeral." And I mean, they are still people. I think like Clea would do it, but I don't know if Synthis would.
Oh yeah, I think she thinks about it in the tough. You know.
But but they also
Just,
do like set up that Synthis is fucking hardcore and don't underestimate her. She'll fucking cut you. Like they do set that up.
yeah, I don't think we can predict accurately. This is one of those things that go on that
Yeah.
I don't think will accurately. It can go either way
Right.
with the way they're writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was real life, it may just have to do with what was on her mind that day, whether she could go through with that or not, or would, or whatever. So, but old Zanwin Freight came back, Andor's message. He knows about the death. And then we get those fucking violins, man. Those violins were really good. They start playing the violins for the mom's death. It plays into the
Oh
very
yeah.
end. We got that end music, but done with sad violins this time, and it was pretty fucking good, you know. But
Music's on point.
it is on point. There's no lie there. Hey, Star Wars podcast. Thank you for the super chat, bud. Soul shaking, heartbreaking performances, exceptional writing and narratives. The ILM miniature like CG and Luthen's escape, many OT moments. I'm like getting sick again. Andor has sparked something new. Star Wars has high caliber art. It's yeah, it's definitely really, really, really solid drama. I mean, it is Michael Clayton Star Wars, right? This
Yeah.
does feel like the cinematography and the pacing and everything of Michael Clayton applied to Star Wars, which Rogue One was not.
No.
When I remember Rogue One, I was like, oh, it's Michael Clayton guy, and I remember thinking like that didn't really translate. It didn't really have anything to do with itself. This feels more like Michael Clayton
Yeah,
to me.
but it's a group, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a dig or anything like that. It just is what it is. Like the final product just didn't really reflect that. This does, and I think most people would say Michael Clayton for what it is fairly perfect. For what it is. I can't think of too many flaws with it. Maybe not till like the very end when it gets a little like convenient, but you know, I thought I thought
I'm looking for the day when Gilroy writes the ice skating episode of Ahsoka. You know what I mean? When we get the other side. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
yeah. But once again, like in the acting in this show and in this episode, it's easy to take it for granted after 11 episodes. Like, of course it's good.
They will.
It's been no, I mean it's been good the whole time. No, but I mean like like Bix looked like hell. And she like, you know, she sold it. She never did, you know, we didn't see Arjona like making sure that she looked in the light to make sure she looked great in the shot or something. Like there was never any of that thing that you see people do, you know, where they kind of like break character.
She goes to sit down.
For their own brand.
Down. Mm-hmm. She goes to sit down and she does the Rodriguez spin for no reason.
Oh, that would be cool. I want her to do it now.
Yeah, I want to say, man, like that. I really just love that in the beginning of the episode when you see that shaky cam of BMO like having like a schizophrenic moment. You know what I mean? Like he's
having a nervous breakdown. He has a little cup on him and he's shaking. He's like, yeah.
Well, I made this last night. I typed this into the chat, but I'll elaborate a bit more. I really do think this is why, you know, memory wipes become a thing. I think these droids become attached, and they even kind of allude to it in the first move in A New Hope when, you know, that little droid should have his memory wipe. He's a little too, you know what I mean? He was just a little too attached to his master. He's trying to find his buddy. You know, that old man's a hermit. Get his memories wiped. Like I think I think all robots, if they don't have a memory wipe, eventually just become empathetic. And that's and people are like saying, well
3PO's neurotic.
Star Wars, it's a robot. It's a robot that, yeah, but 3PO had a memory wipe. So like,
no, but it's like he has memory for many years and he's neurotic.
Yeah, he's neurotic. And so, but I think it is interesting how the robots, this is the Lucas thing, right? The robots feel more for the humans than the humans feel for the humans.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Forget what they think about the robots. They, you know, and they're all robots that love to just burn and torture other robots, as Jabba's palace is so keenly shown us. You know,
as
burn that little dark droid's feet. Yeah.
What we do in the shadows is they're doing it.
What we do in the servos, you know? So like, yeah. So I really appreciate the love. I know when we were reading an article right before the series came out, where they were talking about how like this little droid, you know, he's doing everything on set. We made him really emotive, and we're like, well, what does that mean? Well, I think we're seeing it. You know, hands down, best droid they've conjured up, in my opinion, since R2D2. Like, you know,
I don't think he's got it on BB-8. BB-8 was a sensation that we forgot about because of Baby Yoda, but.
Yeah, but BB-8's like a bauble. It's not an emotional center. He's like, hey buddy, what's up? He's like Butters.
He's like he's like a happy little dog. I agree.
It's BMO's more like Kenny. There's some depth here. You know, he can't die. Like, I can't die. So
Nick says, "Oh man, the shot of his lens at the and the drink on top. Yeah, that was good. That lens shot was really surprisingly, when you think about what we as an audience are reacting to. It's like a fake camera lens. You know what I mean? We're like, you know, it's just.
I know, and I can see very easily. You know, my friends who like all the real people are like, you're getting all choked up about this stupid stuff, and I'm like, but they're taking it as serious as we did. You know, so it's good. What do you think about? I thought the Imperials. So when Luthen's up in the ship, right, and they're talking to him, these are the most like 80s looking, you know, late 70s, 80s looking Imperials I've encountered yet in Star Wars. Like that dude has that same. You could have told me he was plucked right out of 1979. I'd have bought it. You know, like, yeah.
I know that they, let's like just to get it out of the way. I don't believe Luthen's ship has lightsabers coming out of the sides of it, you guys. I just don't. I think he has a consistent laser beam, like we see on the clone attack ships, the Republic ships that the clones are in, that shoot the green lasers down, that are like a very consistent beam. He does that. When you watch the scene, the beams extend out of frame, so we don't see them end. We don't see it like a sword. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't
Yeah, but
think
they're
those are.
invoking that, and look. This is where you put a little
Yes,
fan service in. Why not?
but
This way he
yeah,
gets a little something. It doesn't.
but what I'm trying to say is there's a difference between a beam and a lightsaber. You know what I mean? Like one's a sword, one's, you know what I mean?
No. So it's the most nerdiest thing I think you've ever conjured up on the show, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean like one is a fucking glowing sword and the other is just like a beam of light. A consistent beam isn't like two beams of light. Lightsabers can clash. Boom, right? Two lasers would just
Right.
pass through each other. Just pass, and
Right.
you can't play swords with
Fair
those.
enough.
You can't play swords
Fair
with those.
enough.
You can play swords
But
with
we
everything
know
else.
he at the very least this dude loves Jedi shit. I mean, he's got kyber crystals and he's got holocrons.
As a Gilroyist, you have to go and say it's irrelevant. He doesn't know what any of that is.
I'm not saying he knows what that stuff is. He's got
Gilroy
holocrons.
doesn't know. No,
Oh,
Gilroy.
Gilroy. Yeah.
They just put that in there, and Gilroy was like, "Looks cool, okay." He had no idea what it meant. He has no.
Oh no, he looked it up on Wikipedia and he was like, "Sure, fine."
No, he ended up going. He ended up saying they snuck a lot of stuff in there. I didn't even know what that stuff was, and they're like, "Oh, those guys," you know.
Like, as long as it ends up in Fortnite and he gets a check, he doesn't care.
No, nothing from Andor. Cassian Andor didn't come to Fortnite. Luke, Leia, and Han did. And every other character, every character from Star Wars that they've ever put out came out last week. No Andor. Sucks. Me and Bespin really wanted Andor, you know? I wanted to get him Bix so I could just
You know what I wanted, Jason?
Run.
And I don't even play the game. I wanted 8-year-old Princess Leia who just can outrun everyone. When they put Leia, I'm like, missed opportunity. She could just outrun everyone. She's like Sonic the Hedgehog and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you again for the super chat, the Star Wars podcast. Also, Jason, I'm cognizant of how busy MSW keeps you regarding jumping on the Star Wars podcast. So whenever it works, let me know if you prefer Twitter or email. Now, Rob, what's your rating of episode 11 and those Henson vibes? Dude, I'm down for whenever, dude. Just DM me on Twitter. That's the best way. And send me a time that works for you, and I'll try to make it work. That'd be fun. And,
so I'll reiterate my point on any TV show. I'm not a big fan of rating episodes. Like I liken it to rating chapters in a book. You know, I love this chapter more than that, but sometimes chapters are meant to set up other it's all structural. So I give it thumbs up, thumbs down. You know, all this is a thumbs up. You know, the series as a whole, I'll give a rating, and for me, it's an 11 out of 10. Like, you said something last night that I completely agree with. There are some shows where you're like, I just need like the highlights if I'm going to leave it on in the background. I don't need to see everything, right? Like that's where Star Wars Larry helps out. You sort of get like the highlights of things, you know?
yeah.
But with this show, there really isn't anything to leave out. I could just leave it on a loop, you know? Like the only thing I could skip are I don't need, if it's on a complete loop, I don't need the recaps because I like the different theme plays too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I like the way, all that's important. So, and the outro themes that play, like the music that plays at the end of every episode is always different and cool. And so this whole series it's outstanding. And I got some friends who, you know, they're in the industry. They're filmmakers, and they've been reaching out to me going, have you seen this? Like, I'm like,
No.
I do the show, right? They're like, oh, you stupid show. Like, all right. But yeah, they love it. And these are people who hate every fucking thing, dude.
Yeah.
People think I hate everything. You got to meet the real, those LA types who are like, they're above every fucking thing. You know? Like,
I know those types.
Can't ever have any fun.
Never have any fun. Star Wars podcast says, nice. Also, brief non-Star Wars aside, our sister show, the Labyrinth podcast, has been obsessing over your St. Vincent as Jarrah's sister in the sequel idea. It has to happen. Gotta be honest with you. I do think you have to have somebody with an alt rock, at least kind of like art rock persona, who could jump in there and write music and seamlessly integrate into anything. And I think she's the only person I could think of who could. So that's why, and I also just love St. Vincent and want to see her do anything. I also think I think she's the Bix of rock music, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you want to read
Patty
between the
Smythe's
lines.
still rocking, Jason. I think she.
No, I'm
go
saying
back. What?
I'm saying St. Vincent's fucking hot. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
And
okay.
but that
You
said,
don't think
if I
you don't think Lucas a film would cheapen out and go with the Billie Eilish or something that's more TikTokable? You know.
I don't think Billie I actually think Billie Eilish is very young and very talented for like her age. You know what I mean? Like what she's doing
Sure.
overall. But I don't. But she doesn't have the visual side to her. Like Saint Vincent really has a lot of very interesting visuals and has done like, the art rock thing. Like I said, she hasn't shown that side of her. She hasn't shown that she's a visual artist as well, or that she really gets into the visual side. So I think you have to have those things to be able to dress up with the giant fucking cod piece and a cape and crazy eyeliner and be like, I am, and do it with
Cher.
confidence.
Well,
Cher
Cher could have done it. But
yeah, but no, I don't really
you
want
just
the
saw that
labyrinth Cher.
you did that. I just caught the moment when the visual hit your head of her in the outfit.
Actually,
you saw it, you laughed.
You're not wrong. No, I was actually on board with the visual. I wasn't on board with the soundtrack. Dutch Budge, her doing the songs. I don't think she could do it.
I got my wife for her birthday.
I got
the Weta. Weta did these animated stylized statues of Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Right. They're really well designed. They're really cool looking. And so I got her all that stuff, and she was like, "Oh," and then she started doing the songs. I'm like, nerd. I do think though, I hold no, whatever. It's not I don't. You pick whoever you want, but I do think if this were 4 or 5 years ago, I could see the executives going, "Hey, what's that Lana Del Rey? She could just sing all the songs. It'll be the same songs, but she'll sing them slowly throughout the whole, just the same songs, but she'll just do them slowly." And, everyone loves that one.
Okay, I'm able to tweet my Willow tweets right now.
Oh,
it's time, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hit tweet all. So I hit my tweet all. Okay, now I'm gonna read them to you guys. Now understand, I'm only allowed to give social media review or impressions. I'm not allowed to do a review.
I can't know, and I've never seen it.
You've never seen it.
Yeah, I can do that.
So Willow drops James Horner for James Hetfield, and even then, it uses a cheap cover song instead of the original, which is symbolic of the series' approach to the world of Willow. I'm crushed. The series seems confused if it's Willow, Xena, a Minions number, or a requel. That's my review of one episode. my impression. My other
How many
impression,
people you think are Jason? How many people you think are gonna reply? James Horner died. He couldn't have done it. Like they're gonna miss the context, right? Like
one thing I'll add here. They put fucking Enter Sandman in Willow, you guys. Enter fucking Sandman is in Willow. All right. I take Willow as seriously as Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Unfortunately, Lucasfilm didn't. Instead of leaning into what worked in the classic film, the series attempts to modernize it with contemporary music that's less than contemporary. Such a bad call. And there's some good songs in it. Don't get me wrong, but anyways, the breakout character of Willow is Borman, played by Amar Chadha Patel. Willow has always been a mix of comedy and fantasy. Amar moves between both aspects effortlessly. Unfortunately, Warwick Davis does not. He's played the role better before. The rest of the cast is fine.
Jason, the missed opportunity here was that they didn't do a cover of Soundgarden Spoo Man, but with Boar Man. Boar Man, come together with your hand, save me. Right?
Rob,
come on.
Don't get me in trouble. Just keep watching the show, and you're not far off. And Yeah, it really,
That's a shame.
I love
Really, yeah.
I love Willow. Like I mean, I got him right here on the wall. I love him, and yeah, it's just
Did you ever get the
over the
toy from Celebration?
no.
Were you able to? No.
No, you had to wait in this crazy line to get it. That and by the time I thought I could just go to the booth and buy it, but you can't.
Yeah.
And excuse me, sorry, I'm getting overclipped. But basically, uh, yeah, I was crushed by it. Not happy, not happy at all. I've spent years listening to you guys in general, the fandom in general, be hyperbolic about what Star Wars has done to various aspects of Star Wars itself. And for the first time, I've actually seen that actually happen without hyperbole. That's how I feel about it. So, anyways, that's probably correct. I'm under an NDA on that shit. I can't say anything more. Yes,
Hold
Jess
on, I
James,
like that.
Enter Sandman is in the fucking Willow series. It's and you think like, oh, maybe that's it. No, it's not it. It's not it. It just keeps doing it, and it doesn't make it any
Every
better. It
single
does
time, and it keeps getting funnier every single time they do
no, it doesn't. It
Dun, dun,
sucks.
dun,
That's
dun,
that
dun, dun,
part.
dun, dun, dun. It's Willow time. We put the covers in the show.
Imagine fucking, imagine Boba Fett's climbing out of the Sarlacc, and you're like there. It's like Boba's climbing out. You start getting, and you're just like, why? Like we don't fucking need that. And James Horner's fucking original music is good, man. That Willow
Yeah,
theme song is as good as anything John Williams ever did on Star Wars.
yeah.
And you wouldn't know watching this show. You wouldn't know. So
Breaks my heart.
yeah, I honestly, I didn't cry, but I fucking could have. I could have cried. There was this moment where I was like, I have never felt so crushed by something I was looking forward to on TV as an adult. It was Garbage Pail Kids the movie. It was Masters of the Universe. It was it
It
was
was Attack of
fucking
the Clones for me,
it
Jason.
was renting
That's what got me.
Munchies on VHS.
Attack of the
After
Clones. That's what it. That's what it felt like. Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't watch it, but I'm just imagining you watch it. Like I just don't want to get you in trouble. I have
yeah,
not seen it,
yeah.
but yeah. That now you know what it's like, sucker. So eventually we all get our turn in the barrel, Jason. You know?
But if you're into butt stuff, that's fun. And this one is just not fun. So, anyways,
for not fun for you. Someone out there's having a good time.
hey,
Hey
but
you.
so Star Wars podcast. I'm down, but Saturday 3 p.m. I think maybe it's the other way around. Like it's because it's 3 p.m. When it's 3 p.m. here, it's 6 p.m. Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll 3 p.m. on Saturday. I'm gonna be on the Star Wars podcast. I'm in. Like the gin. I said that. I should die now.
Uh-huh.
Fucking James Horner was great. I'm with you. I could even have been okay with like a little bit of like fucking James Horner on the guitar. You want to make it modern, but and then you know what though? Like also, I can't get into a review. I can't say anything after this. Let's say this one last thing. If they had taken the songs and played them on fucking lutes or something, like in universe, I could have hated it, but I could have maybe accepted it. Maybe we could have met in the middle.
Jason, you can get it right now. If you go into YouTube and you type in Metallica Bard music, you can listen to all of Metallica's music in Bard form.
No, Rick Jones. No, Rick Jones. Stranger Things exists in the time when fucking Kate Bush exists and Metallica exists. And they would listen to that music.
But
and it coming in
here's
is
my take.
completely right. But like if you're watching Lord of the Rings and he starts listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, you're like, no, that can't happen.
Except Jason. Now let's say these average people out there, they think when you go into work on something, right, you get to like just do whatever you want, and they go, "Good job, buddy." So like that's not how it works, So I can imagine a world where I'm in the writers' room, right? They're like, "Hey, we see that you on the Star Wars podcast. We hired you to write for a TV series because that happens." And they go, "We just got some parameters. We got a little box. They start drawing sides, right? And they're like, it's 4 dots, and each one of them are cover songs to Metallica. To Metallica, and you have to or modern 80s cover songs, right?
Yeah.
And you have to get these 4 songs in there no matter what." And I'm like, okay, the way to do that, right? And this is based off their Disney Plus video they did back in Disney. The only thing on Disney Plus Day that was worth watching was when Warwick Davis was sitting at a table with all the actors, right? And like everyone's like kind of like improvising, talking shit. The way they do, he does in Life's Too Short. And I'm like, okay, so you could just have a series where he's just Warwick Davis and he's, setting up chips and dip in his apartment, and all the actors come over, some from the old movies, some from the new show, and they're just playing Willow, the tabletop role-playing game, and so he gets to be the dungeon master, and then when they play tunes on the radio, you hear them, you cut to the fantasy world, right? So you got the fantasy world and you got the real world. And when in the fantasy world, you could cut to a Metallica song because someone put it on in the mix. Like he's got the actual real music, but someone put in their own, and then you got to deal with that. Like there's a way to do it. I'm not saying that would produce a better show. People would be just as mad because I think when you say a Willow TV series, they're expecting you to keep everything in lore, right? Like, and all serious and as if it's a continuation of that movie. But there's always a way to do it. It's a little more clever. But yeah, it's just there, right? It's just there, I guess, because that's what we do now. We put Metallica in everything. Like, and I'm a big Metallica dude, but man. It'd been funny if they put all those Saint Anger songs in this one just to troll you.
you're gonna get me in trouble here. The last thing I'm gonna say is Phoebe Bridger did the song this year, you guys. Like, there's a good cover of it that is in that other fucking like contemporary fucking thing. Anyways, yeah. Let's not talk about it anymore. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble. Once
you
get in trouble,
it's what it is. I'm gonna finish the series, and then I'm probably I'll give my reviews of all the episodes still. So if you guys are gonna watch it, I look forward to looking at the flaws and the merits of it, and maybe we'll work through this, but it's hard. And Bespin just tweeted me or texted me and said, it looks like we're the only negative reviews of the show on Twitter right now.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yep. But also, we're probably the only 2 people who actually fucking like remember.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Jason. Do you think that's because you're talking to people? How do I say this? They have a memory of something versus like you watch this shit all the time to this day.
Yeah.
Like you actually care. So like I really give a shit about the Turtles, right? And when that they call it the Bay Turtles, but he didn't direct the movie, but whatever, the Michael Bay Turtles.
Okay.
I walked out like I want to say halfway through. It's when they made a Heroes in the Half Shell joke, and I'm like, this whole fucking movie. I don't know how they're ninjas and they're ninjas and they're walking around with chaka beads and glasses, and it's just like, I mean, they're actually going to fight covered in shit that makes noise. Like I'm not in this. Ain't for Rob. I walked out. So, and I was people are like, you walked out like Sonic 2. When I walked out of Sonic 2, I'm like, if they do a ninja rap, the Turtles is always my good. Like if you enter ninja rap territory, I'm the hell out of here. Like I don't care what I paid. I don't need to sit through this again.
You know how there's like people who like don't understand like that the Death Star is not upside down in Rogue One. Like it just can't be. There is no right side up in space. It's all globe.
There's also sound in space. Yeah.
right. The people just can't understand that. That's me with the half shell thing. I'm like, they have a full shell. What are you talking about? I don't understand the half shell. I will never understand.
It's surfing talk, Jason.
I don't understand.
Like cowabunga. Well, that's a Howdy Doody reference, but you know what I'm saying.
Turtles in a half shell.
The Howdy Doody guy tried to sue over cowabunga with one of the many lawsuits because he gave an interview in the Comics Journal back in like 98, 99. Kevin Eastman, and he was talking about they were unprepared for the amount of lawsuits they would get the minute that took off. Like even the
Yeah.
cartoon tried to sue them. The guys who made the Turtles cartoon tried to sue them, saying that all the things people really like are what we put in the cartoon that aren't in the comic. So we have ownership over it. Yeah, that's some shit they had to go through too, you know?
Yeah.
So like them Turtles guy. I mean, I do know Kevin. He knows me. How about that? That's more important. Kevin Eastman knows me, which I'm proud of that. Like the kid in me would
Yeah.
never believe that. Will never let me draw turtles. I don't fucking know why. But, you know.
Yeah,
Also,
fuck
I'm like,
you,
makes sense.
Eastman. Fuck you,
Makes
Eastman.
sense.
Oh, sorry. I'm not helping you, am I? Sorry.
Not
Sorry.
hurting me either, Jason.
Oh,
It's
okay.
going
Fair
nowhere.
enough. He said,
So,
he said couldn't, so.
yeah, well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, so like
Eastman, remember when you and Laird were in that little apartment, drawing the turtles? Yeah, well, this guy let him draw the turtles. He's like you, man. Fucking
I just think
smart.
people have their memory of it, and because it's not high on their to care list,
Yeah.
they're more sympathetic. The way I'm probably like,
Or
I'm gonna let a lot of like,
yeah.
I let a lot of shit go in comic book movies because I'm not attached to Batman's where I'm like, all right, now you're getting the critique,
Yeah, my whole thing is just if it's a movie, if it's from a series, if it's a series based on a movie, it should just kind of be like the movie.
I
In
agree.
some form. I don't like that old Highlander bullshit. Remember the Highlander series? Fuck that show. Fuck that fake Highlander.
Well,
Only good thing
no,
about
no,
it
no,
was I
no,
got
no,
to hear the
no,
Queen
no.
song in the opening. That's it. That's it.
And they got paid for that, Jason. They probably made more off that than they did their
Queen
album.
doesn't need to get paid.
I like
Freddie
that
Mercury
series.
can't even spend it.
Wait,
Yeah, you
that
like
series, the first movie in that series are what you watch. The other movies don't watch, but the series is all right. I disagree
I'm
on that
sorry.
one. It's got Joan Jett
Yeah.
and Martin and Richard Mall. Like, bull.
I'm not going to make hating the new Willow or whatever my impression of it, my new personality or any of that kind of stuff. But anybody who says they love the original and likes this one, I don't trust them. I don't trust them. But yeah, what a bummer for me. I always said, right back during Phantom Menace, people used to accuse me of lying and being a shill. Nothing changed. But I used to say, if Phantom Menace had been for you what you're saying it is for me, I would be the most crushed person in the room. Because I love fucking Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Love fucking it too. Love fucking making sweet love to it. And I love Star Wars. And if it was that bad, I would be well more crushed than you. That was always like my take. And well, now it happened. Finally, after all this time, Lucasfilm. But I mean, I would, I'm not allowed to review it. So we won't talk about Willow anymore.
Yeah. Talk about turtles.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Star Wars Podcast gave us a super chat. Thank you again, Star Wars Podcast. Let's go. Stoked for you to join the show. Jason, Rob, seriously, thank you. Time moves faster nowadays compared to the 80s, 90s. We forget to pause and take stock of what we cherish most. Both legends be well. Oh, thanks, man. That's very, very nice. And you are too kind to me. And I don't know why you're nice to Rob, but
Stop being nice.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Trust me.
Stop being nice to Jason and be more mean to me. That's how this show works.
That's how this show works. And
go to Reddit, start some rumors about Jason. That's what we do. That's what I do.
That's the way to be. That's the way to do it.
That's Saturday for Rob.
Yeah.
I gotta open up my schedule. I gotta stop posting rumors about Jason on Reddit to do a podcast. All right.
You know what makes me mad about being me in this little community of weirdos, not you, Star Talk, but like the horrible people, is that I don't really get in trouble enough for the stuff I actually do. I get more in trouble for the stuff that I didn't do.
Famous last words.
You know what I mean, though? It's like
famous last.
I mean, at least if it's
you sound like Trump.
No, well,
I didn't really pee on him. On him. That's the one everyone remembers.
Honestly, if I was Trump, I'd have been like, yeah, you know what? I think if Trump came out and said I had them pee on each other all over Obama's bed, his numbers would only have went higher with his base. So he's dumb. Anyways, Rick says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recent comic Last Ronin would make a great animated movie. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I'll touch on it. I like The Last Ronin a lot. It's Kevin Eastman's final turtle story, right? And what's great is he did all the roughs. He hand drew all the roughs and inked them. And the series is drawn well. I just wish he drew it. Mm-hmm. they did these the way I came into Turtles was there was First Publishing did these 4 magazine sized reprints of the Turtle stories back in the late 80s. There was 4 books. I still have them. And because Kevin and them had all the line arts without Zipatone, like because they don't do Zipatone. They did this where they drew on paper where they would paint it and the dots come forward with water, but they had a way to get rid of that, so they had the line separated. And they did painted. Those issues are painted, like it's the line art with like gouache painting and airbrush, and it looks so great. I wish the last Ronin was his lines with that are painted. You know, like if they had got Sienkiewicz or if they had gotten Lynn Varley, you know, I'm sure she needs work, you know, like someone out there to come and give it the Dark Knight, because that's essentially the Turtles. Kevin Eastman's take on the Turtles has always been Frank Miller, you know, and Peter Laird, and Frank Miller and Richard Corbin, and Peter Laird is more of the Jack Kirby side, and it's this blend between Jack Kirby and Frank Miller. That sort of that's how you get the Turtles. And I just think having Kevin's art with the painted backgrounds, you know, hand painted backgrounds would fulfill the Dark Knight, you know, like fulfillment of all of this, you know. But it is a really good story though. It's cool. So I just want his
button working when I'm coughing in the mic.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Okay, good.
If you stopped over me, I would have.
No, you stopped as soon as I coughed. I thought that shit's working, right? There's a little mute button here, and I'm hoping it's working. So if not, I was about to apologize to everyone for coughing in everybody's faces.
Yeah, but the last one is great. I don't know if that's how do I say it? I don't like. Yeah, if it were an animated series, I just the problem I have right now with most animation that's produced in the States is it's done very flatly. I don't know how to describe it. The animation on Rise of TMNT is really good, so there's that, you know. But it would have to have the shadows and all the blacks and the darks. It needs a graphic quality at the end of the day, I feel. So as long as they did that, it would be great. If it looks like those, I'm not a fan of those DC animated films. They all look kind of cheap to me. Everyone loves them. I'm like, I like them. They did the Long Halloween,
and the storytelling is why I like them.
Yeah, well, they did the Long Halloween, and it didn't look like Tim Sale's art. And they did the Dark Knight Returns, and although it looked all right, it didn't have painted backgrounds. It's all digital cheap. I don't know, man. Like it's not my thing. So I just like graphicness.
For me, that's those work for me because of the tone. You know what I'm saying? Like the Batman films oftentimes lack the comic tone, and that's where I think I get it. But you know, but yeah, they could definitely look better at times, but some of them are okay.
If they did that a big open world or TMNT game, I would just pray we would be able to get DLC so I can get the 90s Turtles suits. You know, that's the only way I want to play. Just like when the Arkham Knight had the Batman '89 suit, right?
Hey,
like
had Turtles. Turtles are coming to Fortnite. I'm Donatello. I'm Donatello. I called
that. Shredder's Revenge. I'm good.
Yeah, I beat that. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
a little bit short.
Have you played Cartoonapalooza or whatever? There's a fan game that they made.
Oh, you told me about that.
And they put everything in. It's got hundreds. It's got Casey. It's got everything. They put all the characters in there. It's a pretty good fan game.
Yeah. Man, I thought I was going to be better. I saw myself tonight laying down some tracks for the new song and maybe doing the vocals on it tonight or tomorrow, but I don't know what's going to happen now. Damn this sickness that infects us all. The sickness of rebellion. But
like Mon Mothma's daughter, she rebels.
Ties a knot. Let's do our hair in knots. That would be fun. But anyways,
and then she proceeds to tie maraschino cherry stems with her mouth, right? That she could tie them.
What if we get to next season and now she's like a goth girl and she's like, yeah, I'm going to do a new face now. You're like, what? They're all teenagers. Oh, anyways, so I'm a partisan now. But anything else before we go, Rob? Have we done it all?
We've done it all, Jason.
I think we have. We'll be back tomorrow talking about the Star Wars news. 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. I will be on the Star Wars podcast. That's going to be a good time. Looking forward to it. And everyone, thank you for hanging out with us. Make sure you subscribe to the show on all the podcast platforms that you like. Like the show there too. That would help. That helps. Help us grow the show. And this will always be where we do it live, but you know, you can't always be on YouTube. So that's the solution. And we'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, be cool. Like this. Subscribe to everything. And I appreciate the super chats today. And everyone, I hope everyone had a good time with Andor. And next week we finish Andor, so we're at the very end. We're at the steps of the end, and
Andor.
We will be talking about
shit.
that. The Andor is coming. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rob.
Bye.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.